Hi everyone, welcome back to Falcon's House. Today I want to have a little chat about RAID 10 and how BTRFS was going to use it, and basically I had talked about my previous video about how Open Media Vault wanted to move to native BTRFS, and that was my plan. And I had actually had it mostly set up, and then I found out something interesting about how their RAID 10 works. And it made me reconsider using it, and now I'm moving towards using ZFS and Ubuntu with ZFS on Linux. And Ubuntu now with 18.04 natively supports ZFS, well, as natively as you can get with licensing. You just have to install the packages. But their actual support supports it. With 16.04 it was included, but it wasn't really supported, and now it's fully supported. So here's why I wanted to do the change. So here we see a normal hardware RAID 10. You have drives 1 and 2 are mirrored, and drives 3 and 4 are mirrored, and then they are striped across. So if you had a 4 gigabyte file, you would have 2 gigabytes on each drive. And then that could scale out. So if you had 8 drives, you would have consecutively smaller. The 4 gigabyte file would be spread out across 8 drives, and you'd only have 500 megabytes on each drive. Wait, it's a mirror, so 1 gigabyte on each drive. Then you could lose 1 drive out of each mirror and not have any data loss. Now, obviously, there is some luck involved in this that you don't have that mirror. You don't lose both drives in a mirror, but you actually have a 1 in 3 chance of losing the same mirrored drive versus losing one of the other 2 drives. So your risk of losing a drive in the same mirror is 1 in 3 before you would have complete data loss. And this scales out to 6 drives, 8 drives, 10 drives. The more drives you have in a RAID 10, potentially the more drives you can lose. An 8 drive RAID 10 could lose 4 drives, potentially, before you had a complete failure. And you have shorter and shorter rebuild times because your data is spread across more and more drives. So the amount of time you're at risk of losing 2 drives goes down. So the wider your RAID 10 gets, the safer it gets. Until you hit like other hardware limits where like something else could fail and cause a complete failure because of that, but not because of the RAID 10 failure. Then we have how BTRFS does it, which is they break all their data down into 1 gigabyte blocks, and then they stripe the blocks. So like in this example, you have drives 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 have the first block. Then, in the second block, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 have it. And in the last one, you have 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 have the blocks. So now, because the data is striped across all of these things, no matter any 2 drives, you lose the whole array. Or you don't lose the whole array, you lose all the files that are striped like that. So you could have, if you have just a bunch of large files, so if you're storing video files for me, like my main thing is going to be storing these videos that I'm making for YouTube, pretty much every file would get corrupted with 2 drive failures. So you go from a normal RAID 10 where you can lose 1 drive for sure, and a second drive you have a 1 in 3 chance, or a 1 in 5 chance, or a 1 in 7 chance of failure, of having complete failure. Whereas in this mode, you only can lose 1 drive, and it doesn't scale. It's no better than like a RAID 5 is. The bigger it gets, the higher the risk that your data is going to be striped across multiple drives, and if you lose a second drive, you're going to start losing files. So to me, that's unacceptable and a kind of a bad design. I like the fact that because of blocks, you could change between RAIDs 5 and 6 and 10 and back. That was cool, but if it's a RAID 10, it should try to force everything onto 2 drives to minimize that risk, and it doesn't seem to do that. And I double checked on like this BTRFS subreddit, and everybody just says that that's how it works, but they don't seem to all think that it's a bigger risk, which I kind of disagree with. So, because of this, I decided I'm not going to end up using Open Media Vault. I really want to, but if they're going to force BTRFS to everybody, and the only BTRFS safe RAID level currently is RAID 1, I don't want to just have to mount 2 different RAID 1s and have different mount points and have to manually manage the balancing between the two for storage, and considering I'm already outside of using their GUI to do drive management because they haven't officially started supporting BTRFS, even though that's the plan for the next one, and they recommend moving to it. So as much as I like Open Media Vault, I started hitting a number of roadblocks, and it just wasn't worth compromising anymore. So I think right now I'm going to end up using Ubuntu, and we'll see how it goes, and I'll probably have some more updates on that. Right now I'm using a ZFS RAID Z2 with the 4 drives, and a share is configured, but that's about all I've done so far. I'm going to have to try to configure all the other services manually and see how it goes and make sure that I can do everything that I want to do, which I should be able to do. It's Ubuntu. It's a full OS. It's not just a NAS OS. Well, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.